Hi everybody, today we're continuing our exploration of Java AWT and Swing. Today we're going to be looking at how to host multiple panels in a single frame. Okay, so here I've got three panels. I've got my edit panel, I've got my add panel, which we were working on before, and I've also designed a home panel. So these are my three panels. You can see that my frame also hosts a menu bar. And this menu bar has two menus. And the first menu has two menu items. And the second menu has one menu item. Okay? So let's get started. With my panels, this is the one that I was working on before. Using my knowledge of panels, I've created a very basic home panel. This is my home panel. So this one is this one. And I've also created a very rudimentary edit panel. There's nothing really there yet, but this is just panel design. And the result of that is in this menu item here. When I click it, I go to this edit panel. So this is the design so far. So you can design as many panels as you want. The trick is to get them all into a frame and accessible through some kind of menu. So let's get started with this. I've already made a start. In my new regform frame, which is a JFrame, I've just started to list out the properties. As you just saw, there are three panels. One of them is a regform 1 panel, which is my home panel. One of them is a regform 2 panel, where I add new users. And one of them is a regform 3 panel, which is going to be my edit panel, or something like that as I continue the design. So those are three properties. To host these in the frame, I'm also going to create one more panel. It's just a regular J panel. This is kind of invisible, but this panel will hold these panels and allow us to switch between them. So this is very important. Also, my frame will have the menu bar and two menu items, the file menu and the edit menu. So there's the menu bar, and there's the file menu, and there's the edit menu. Okay? So these are all the properties of my current design. Now let's go into the constructor method of my regform frame. What I'm going to do is construct my three panels: home panel, edit panel, and add panel, and edit panel. Okay? So we're just constructing the three panels. And I'm also going to construct a master panel. It's just a regular J panel, as we saw up here. What you need, though, is a parameter which is a card layout object. And this will allow us to hold three panels, these three, inside this master panel. Okay? Okay, let's continue the design of the constructor method. I'm just going to break things up a little bit here. I'm going to create a little function called setup frame. Set up the menu. I want to set up the menu. And I also want to just set up the frame in general. So let's deal with these two tasks as separate functions. So private void, this doesn't return anything. Let's define the setup menu function. So the setup menu function is going to do a variety of things. We're going to, first of all, construct our menu bar. So this menu bar is a new J menu bar. Then what we want to do is construct the two menus in the menu bar. So we've got our file menu, which is a J menu, and our edit menu, which is a J menu. So file menu will be a new J menu. and it will display the word File. Our other menu is the Edit menu, which is this property up here, and it will be a new J menu, and it will display Edit. Now that we've got our two menus, let's add them to the menu bar. So add File menu, and we'll add Edit menu. So we've added our two menus to the menu bar. What we want to do next is create the menu items. So we've got the menu bar, we've got the menus, but now we need these three items: the home item, the add item, and the edit user item. Okay, so let's work on this now. These are J menu items. I'm going to call the first one home. And we'll do the same. Let's import. Just going to copy and paste this 2 times. There was the home, there was the add menu item, which displays the text add, and there was the edit menu item, which displays the text edit. So we've got our 3 menu items. Now we want to add these 2 items to the file menu and the edit item to, I don't know, call that edit. I called it edit user, didn't I? Let's just have a quick look. The item's called edit user. Okay, let's try and be consistent. So what I want to do is my file menu, I'm going to add the home menu item. That's part of the file menu. And also the file menu has the add menu item. And the edit menu, we're going to add the edit menu item, which I've made here. This J menu item here is added to the edit menu. Okay, so at the moment, that is the definition of my setup menu. Now let's work on another function, which is my setup frame function. Again, it doesn't return anything. I'll tell you what, we're going to make it private. It's only accessed from within the class. Setup frame, and we'll do a few things that we did previously. We're going to give it a title. We're going to make it visible. We're going to give it a size. And to help us do that, we are going to create a new dimension object. Let's make it 500 by 500 again. And import. I'm going to make it not resizable. So it's just fixed size. That's quite an interesting little option. And let's make sure that it's always placed in the middle of the screen. And we'll make sure that we activate the red close button, which is very, very useful. Okay, that's my setup frame so far. Another thing that I want to do in the frame setup is add my panels. These 3 panels, I want to add them to the master panel. Okay, so when I'm setting up my frame, I'm going to say master panel add. Now, what did I call my first panel? I called it home panel. And I'm going to say this is the first panel in, I'm going to kind of give it a reference number, basically. Okay, and I can use this later. We're also going to add the add panel and the edit panel. So I've added all of my panels, and I need to give each one kind of like a reference number. So I'll call the second one 2 and the third one 3. Now I need to this frame that I'm currently designing, I'm going to add my master panel. So it's added to the frame. I'm also going to set my menu bar, which I've already designed, and I'm going to pack everything snugly into the frame. So that is the definition of my setup frame method. Now what I want to do is add an action listener to these menu items. When I click one, I'm going to jump to a different panel. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my setup menu where we set up all of these menu items, and I'm going to do this. The home menu item, we're going to add an action listener, and this is how we're going to play it. This is a kind of a cool bit of code. We're going to select a method called change screen, which I'll define later, and we're going to jump to screen 1. So when we click home, we're going to jump to our 1 screen, which is this one, the home panel. Let's copy and paste that twice. Now our second menu item is add. When we click add, we're going to jump to screen 2. And the third menu item is edit. When we jump and click that, we go to screen 3. So the last thing I need to do is define my change screen function. So let's do that down here. I'm going to make it private, void change screen. It takes a string as a parameter. I'm just going to call it screen. That's the screen number 1, 2, or 3. Now this is a little bit of a tricky code here. I can't really explain it. You might want to go and do some research. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the layout of my master panel. I'm going to force that to be a card layout. So I'm casting there, and I'm going to show the master panel. In the master panel, I'm going to show this, which screen was selected, 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so let's run this and see if it works. Boom. Yes, everything works as expected. Have a think about it, have a go, and see if you can figure out what's going on with this card panel attempt to host multiple panels in a frame.